Welcome to Speak English Club.
To improve English skills, you need to speak, not just watch videos. Our YouTube channel helps you improve both listening and speaking. Then after you speak as shown on screen. This process helps you improve speaking and listening skills at the same time. Let's start.
Today we will discuss the topic of the economy. Let's start with some basics. What is the economy?
The economy refers to the wealth and resources of a country or region, particularly in terms of production and consumption of goods and services. It's how well a country is doing organizing its money and resources like people and things.
Can you give some examples of economic indicators that show how well an economy is doing?
Some key economic indicators are Gross Domestic Product, GDP, the total value of goods produced in a year within a country. Inflation rate, the rate at which prices for goods and services rise. Unemployment rate, the percentage of the workforce that's without a job. Interest rates, how much extra money you pay when you return a loan. When the economy is doing well, GDP and employment tend to rise, while inflation and interest rates are stable. But when the economy is struggling, GDP and jobs decline while inflation and rates rise.
How would you describe the current state of the economy in your country?
In my country, the economy has been in a bit of a slump recently. GDP growth has slowed to under 3% and the unemployment rate has crept up to 7%. Inflation is also starting to pick up, reaching 5% last quarter. The government has had to raise interest rates to try to cool inflation, but that's making it harder for businesses to invest and consumers to spend.
What do you think are some of the key factors that drive economic growth?
I believe there are a few key drivers of economic growth. Productivity gains. When workers can produce more output per hour, it boosts GDP. Business investment. When companies invest in new equipment, technology and training, it expands the economy's productive capacity. Consumer spending. When people have confidence and are willing to spend on goods and services, it drives demand and growth. Exports. When a country can sell more products and services to other countries, it brings in more revenue. Governments can help spur growth by investing in education, infrastructure, and R&D to boost productivity. They can also provide tax incentives for business investment and keep interest rates low to encourage spending.
What role do you think government policies play in the economy?
Governments play a major role in managing the economy through their fiscal and monetary policies. Fiscal policy involves government spending and taxation. Governments can boost growth by increasing spending on infrastructure, education, healthcare, etc. But they need to be careful not to overspend and cause high deficits and debt. Monetary policy involves managing interest rates and the money supply by central banks. By adjusting interest rates, central banks can influence inflation, employment, and economic growth. For example, lowering rates encourages more borrowing and spending, while raising rates cools an overheating economy. Governments also set regulations and laws that impact the economy, such as rules around trade, labor, environment, consumer protection, etc. So government policies have a big influence on the health and direction of the economy.
What are some of the challenges facing economies today?
I think some of the key challenges include rising inflation driven by supply chain disruptions, the war in Ukraine, and strong consumer demand. High government debt levels in many countries due to pandemic spending. Widening inequality as the benefits of growth accrue more to the wealthy. Transitioning to a low-carbon economy to address climate change. Adapting to technological disruption and the rise of automation. Aging populations and declining birth rates in many developed countries. These challenges require innovative policies and solutions from governments, businesses, and citizens to navigate successfully. It will take creativity and collaboration to find the secret sauce to drive sustainable, inclusive economic growth in the years ahead.
What are the main economic factors that impact businesses and the overall economy?
Interest rates. When rates are high, it becomes more expensive for businesses to borrow money to invest in new projects, expand operations, or hire more workers. However, high rates also mean businesses earn more interest on any cash reserves they have saved in the bank. Conversely, low rates encourage more borrowing and investment, but provide less return on savings. Inflation. Persistent high inflation erodes the purchasing power of consumers, causing them to cut back on spending, especially on discretionary goods and services. Businesses may struggle to pass on rising costs to customers. Inflation can also make a country's exports less competitive globally if the currency weakens. Unemployment. If joblessness is elevated, companies have a larger pool of potential workers to choose from, giving them more bargaining power to keep wages in check. But if unemployment is very low, businesses may have to offer higher salaries and better benefits to attract and retain talent, squeezing profit margins. Exchange rates. A strong currency makes a country's exports more expensive for foreigners to buy, while imports become cheaper. This can hurt domestic producers competing with foreign rivals. A weak currency has the opposite effect, boosting exports but increasing costs for imported raw materials and components. Government policies. Changes to tax rates, regulations, trade agreements, and other policies can significantly alter the business environment. For example, corporate tax cuts may incentivize more investment, while stricter environmental rules could raise compliance costs. Stable, predictable policies are important for business planning. Consumer spending. Since consumer demand drives most economic activity, businesses closely monitor household incomes, confidence levels, and spending patterns. If incomes rise, people tend to spend more, fueling business growth. But if confidence sags, consumers may retrench, forcing companies to cut costs and investment. So, in summary, these 6 factors, interest rates, inflation, unemployment, exchange rates, government policies, and consumer spending, are the key drivers that shape the economic landscape in which businesses operate. Keeping a close eye on these variables is critical for companies to make informed strategic decisions.
That's a very insightful analysis of the main economic factors impacting businesses. It's clear you have a strong grasp of economics and how the various elements interact. Let's wrap up by discussing your own career aspirations. What are your plans for the future?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm currently studying business at university with the goal of eventually working in the business world. I'm particularly interested in the field of marketing and would love to work for a dynamic, innovative company after I graduate. I think it's an exciting time to be entering the workforce, despite the economic challenges. New technologies are transforming how businesses operate, and I'm eager to be part of that change. I'm confident that with the right skills and mindset, there will be plenty of opportunities to build a rewarding career and contribute to economic progress. Of course, I know the economy can be unpredictable and there may be ups and downs ahead. But I'm optimistic that with hard work, adaptability, and a bit of luck, I can navigate those challenges successfully. My goal is to find work that is meaningful and fulfilling, while also allowing me to live a balanced life. I'm excited to see what the future holds.
That's a very thoughtful perspective. Thank you for sharing your insights on the economy and your aspirations. This concludes our speaking test.